Welcome to H2K Infosys. H2K Infosys is a e-verify business based in Atlanta, Georgia, United States. We provide 100% job-oriented, instructor-led, face-to-face, true live online software training programs. It also includes access to cloud test lab with software tools. We provide live project for you to work on. We also provide assistance with mock interviews, resume preparation and review, and job placement assistance. H2K Infosys is trusted by so many students across the world. H2K Infosys provides world-class services in IT training with real-time project work for corporates and individuals, special IT training for MS students in the United States, software design, development, QA manual and automation, performance testing and maintenance, IT staff augmentation, job placement assistance, and tech support.
Okay, so basically yesterday we talked about the keyword-driven framework. It's basically the keywords are going to drive your script. Before we worked on data-driven testing, that's where the data drives your scripts, where you're going to mention the data in an XML file, and the script is going to read the data dynamically. Depends on how many rows of data there in the script. In the Excel sheet, the script is going to read that at runtime and then test the application. Where in case of keyword-driven, we are going to define the keywords in the test cases file. Like we're going to identify, okay, there are the different keywords against the test case. And then you have a control file that basically explains the number of scenarios that needs to be executed. And why it's a control file is you have this execution flag here. So that's where you can control what are the test cases, the test scenarios that you want to run. So by mentioning yes or no against the scenario. And then depends on the scenario that is triggered here, then it go and look at in the test cases file, it's going to look at, okay, so these are the different individual test cases for that scenario, right? So basically, if you look at, say, open application, so this is the scenario that needs to be executed, or for login, so these are the test cases, and to create order, these are the test cases. So scenario is something like you can take it as like the workflow, and the test cases are the individual steps in the workflow, right? So that way, it's going to look at, okay, these are the scenarios that needs to be executed, and then, okay, let me delete these things. So that way the scenario gets executed, depends on how many test scenarios that you want to run, you're going to put the flag, yes or no. And also we talked about the procedures. That's where whenever you do the driver script, that's going to call these the functions on the fly. Depends on the match case, right? So if you look at the driver script, so you have the select case statement here, and then it's going to match the case, depends on the keyword, and then it's going to trigger the appropriate functions. So all those functions will be defined in this function library. So driver script is going to call these functions dynamically at runtime. So this way we identified different functions here, and also we did the verification part also as part of the function. So we defined a function here because we want to return the result. Here, this is what actually we're doing. So we verified whether after open application, we verified whether the application opened successfully, you're going to check this particular page existence. If it exists, okay, then I'm good. My script works fine. Then I'm going to return that result, a pass statement, to the function name itself. That's where you're going to return the result to the function name. Whereas, okay, you don't see that particular file, that particular page displayed. When you open the application, you're going to return the result again to the function name, saying that no, that particular page doesn't exist, so that's why you're going to fail the script. So it's going to return these results and also write these results back to the Excel sheet. Because you have different columns here in the control file, so that says no result, right? The result column. Can somebody please mute your phones? So result column, it says no result, right? And then whenever you run the script, it's going to update these results because you're going to update the results back to the Excel sheet. Okay. So that's what the results gets updated. The function is going to trigger those results, and then it gets updated back to this Excel file. Because you want to see, okay, you are to execute the driver script, execute this open application, and then it has to say at the end of the execution, it has to put the result, whether the result pass or fail. And also it's going to put the individual step results. Obviously, it is going to put the overall scenario results here, right? This is the overall status of the scenario. But just you want to know, okay, in that particular scenario, then is that the open application fail or the login fail or create order fail? That's where you're going to write the individual test case results also when you execute a particular test scenario. So that's what actually, like, we also defined some constants in the same file. So we define these constants, right? Constants, and then we are going to use this master file that contains all your function libraries that you're using now. Right. So they are the constants, and also the master file contains association of all these library files. That way, you're going to include just the master file. You're going to associate the master file to the script, not the individual function libraries. And then, so you're going to mention here, I hope this path is correct. See, QTP test automation. Yeah, so okay, that path is correct. So we included those function libraries in this master file. And then we associated this master file in the driver script, okay, using this execute file method. And then this master file is going to associate whatever the files that are included, that these files get associated to your script, because it's going to execute this master file, and then automatically whatever the files that are included in this master file that gets associated to your script. That way you can use these functions or the constants in the script. And also, we are going to get the data into the driver script, your test scenario data, and also the test case data. So we import the data from Excel. We added two different sheets here. They are the data table sheets. And then we're going to import using the import sheet method, and we're going to import the respective sheets from Excel to the data table. And then after that, we got the row count for both the scenarios and also the test cases. Right, so this is what, first you're going to get the sheet, from which sheet you want to get the row count. And then we use the get row count method. And then we got the number of rows from the test scenarios. And also we got the number of rows from test cases. So once you get the row count, then you're keeping that in the loop. So the inside loop is loop through the number of individual test cases, and the outside loop will loop through the test scenarios. Okay, and this is the main thing here, the loop, and at the end, basically you're going to export the results back to Excel sheet. Okay, so you're importing data, and now at the end of the execution, again you're going to export back the results to the Excel sheet. So you're using export sheet method here for the data table object, and then so you're going to mention, okay, this is the Excel location and the sheet. Okay. So now we are going to loop through this logic, how it executes. So if you don't have any questions. Anybody having any questions at this point before we just execute this line by line just to see how this logic works? All right.
Select case, please. Can you explain the syntax of case and what are the login is it's taking from that function name, login parentheses?
Yeah, we will go through this logic.
Okay.
That's what I'm going to debug line by line to explain you how this logic works and what it is case and where it is getting all these keywords, how it match.
Okay.
Yeah, before we enter into the logic, so are you clear on these concepts, like how you get the data, how you define your data? Is that part clear?
Here our case can be so many cases depending on number of test cases we have, so it can be 10, 15 case statements.
Yeah, so it depends on, yeah.
It doesn't decrease the performance or anything?
No, it's not really.
Okay.
Because obviously like you have to match with the keywords. Because you don't see that drastic performance degradation whenever you run the code.
I was just wondering, since it has to go through so many, do we need to put any wait statements or anything so that there might be some issues with the synchronization and all those things?
Yeah. Yeah, but you don't see that long, that much degradation when you run this code.
Okay.
Okay. So now let's see, I keep a breakpoint here in this for loop. Before you enter into the for loop, just I keep a breakpoint, and then I believe we're going to execute. Yeah, I put this, let's execute first this open application and then see how it works instead of going through too many things. Okay, that way it's better to understand the logic. Then, so you can also keep the service flag. Okay, no, I want to run everything. Then that way it works. First, let us go through the vanilla flavor. So I keep this the execution against this particular test case. Open application, the service flag, the execution flag, yes, and then it's going to locate what are the individual test cases for that in this Excel sheet. Okay. So here is the breakpoint, and let's try to run. And also, I believe, because I didn't check, we have this browser type pointing to IE, I believe. Yeah, okay. So it's going to open in Internet Explorer, the application, and this is the application URL. So everything looks good. Oh, okay. I need to close this Excel sheet. Otherwise, it's going to give me an error. Okay, let's close this Excel sheet. Nothing has been changed. Okay, didn't change anything. Okay, so let me rerun it so that before we run, just make sure like your Excel sheet is closed, that we don't get into any issues. Let's run one more time. Okay, so now you got this breakpoint, and that's where the script execution is stopped. And now let's go to the debug viewer and then see whether you're getting the row count properly from different sheets. Okay, so this is the how many test scenarios are there in your Excel sheet. So there are 3 test scenarios, right? So open application, login, and create order. There are the 3 test scenarios. And test cases, okay, how many test cases are there? Okay, there are 11 test cases, right? So there are 3 test scenarios and 11 test cases for those scenarios. So we got this row count, and now this is the external loop. It wrote through for I is equal 1 to test case rows, that is 3. Okay, and now it's going to check, say press F11. Even if you look at the data table, so you got the data, right? Say this is DT sheet 1. That's where you got all your test cases, and this is the test steps, right? That is, and then the next thing is we're going to look at TC01. Say for example here, in case, so by mistake, the 3rd row is highlighted. Then what is this next statement is going to do is data table get set current row I. That means even though 3rd row is highlighted, your execution has to start from beginning because it has to check for all the scenarios the execution flag, right? Otherwise, if you don't do this statement, then what happens is if the 3rd row is highlighted, right? Then what happens is your execution will continue from the 3rd row. That way, it's going to skip those 2 scenarios. And then though you mentioned the first scenario, say execution flag yes, but it's going to skip and it won't execute, then you really wonder like why it's not executing. So that's why you're going to set the current row because the value of I is 1, right? So you're going to set the current row using the index. So it's going to set the first row, though the 3rd row is highlighted by default. Okay, so it's always make sure your execution will start from the first row. And then, so if you press F11, so let's go execute line by line now. And now, so it's going to execute this line. So now you see the focus change to the first row, and that gets highlighted after execute this line. And now it's going to check, okay, what is that execution flag status of this first row? So that's what it's going to get, that value, the execute column value here, right? So whether it's a yes or no. If it is, then it goes to this condition. Because this condition is yes, then only the inner loop will execute. If this condition is false, no, if the execution status is not yes, then it don't enter into this inner loop. It come out and then that says, okay, test scenario status is no, that's why it's not executed. Then it go and check the second row, what is the status. So now if you press F11, because the status is yes, right? And then so this is going to return the status as yes is equal to yes. So that condition is true. That's why it's going to enter into this inner loop. Now we go and check in the sheet 2. So again, this loop will continue for the number of test cases, right? So for j is equal to 1 to whatever the number of test cases. So press F11. And now again, you are doing here also. Say for example here, by default, say 4th row is selected or the 5th row is selected. Then you always make sure, again, you are going to start execute from the first row. So you are going to set the focus always on the first row. Okay, so press F11. Then the focus will change to the first row. And now we are going to, this line is going to do is, it's a data table dot value because it has to match. See, because you checked here in the sheet 1, whether this execution status as per no, the flag, right? Then it's going to get this test case ID, okay, because this flag is yes. Okay, then what is the test case ID from sheet 1, right? So that is TC01. Now it is going to match that particular test case in the sheet 2. So that means it go through from row 1 in sheet 2, it go through identify what are all the test case IDs that match with TC01, right? So that's what this condition is. This first row TC ID TC01 or not, right? So that's what this condition is going to do. If condition, if it is true, then again it goes to this select case. So press F11. Okay, now basically yes. So that matches what are the test cases I want to run. That is TC01. So now it goes to this select case statement. If it don't match, say for example this particular test case ID is TC02, then it go and check the second row. Is this TC test case ID is TC01. That way it go and match what, because we already got the test case ID here. So now it's going to match okay, where is the test case ID, and now it's going to get the steps and so on. So now it's going to get, right, what are all the keywords, the select case statement. Okay, in the sheet 2, you got this test case ID match, and then what is that keyword for that particular test case? So select case statement is going to get the keyword. The keyword is open app, right? So this is going to return, even if you copy and paste it in the debugger, then that tells like what is that keyword. So that is open app, right? So now it's going to check what is that match case here. So here you are using the select case statement. So the case is open app here. And now it's going to match. Okay, this is open app. No. This is open app. No. This is open app. Yes. Then it's going to trigger that particular function, the open app function. So let's run this. So now it jumped to this particular line. Because these are the not cases that don't match. The keyword is open app, and note this is login, and this is create account, but this is open app. Now it matched that case, and then it's going to trigger this function. So now it's going to call the function from the function library. So it's going to trigger this function now from your function library. So open app function, and then it execute whatever the body of the function, right? It's going to execute this function. Depends on whatever that browser type you mentioned from your constants, because it's pointing to IE. So that means this if else condition is going to trigger this particular line, right? And that's application URL we mentioned in the constants file. So it's going to execute this line because this condition is satisfied. This is true, and now it's going to open the application in Internet Explorer, and then this is the URL. So once this condition executes, then it go and check the verification part again. Okay, if that particular, after it opens this application, whether that particular page exists or not. If it exists, then you're going to write the result pass to this function name. That's where here, because this function name is going to return the result, right? Pass or fail. Then you're going to store that into the variable. Okay, this function name is going to return the result. because you are assigning the result to the function name itself. That is the beauty of this VB scripting. So then this function, once it executes, this function holds the status, whether it's a pass or fail. Then in your driver script, you're going to store that into some variable, say TS result, test step result. And then after that, what happens, you're going to write back the TS result status into your data table. Okay, so let us try to first run this, and then we'll look at how we're going to write it. So press F11. Now it's going to open the application. Okay, so it triggered that function. It's going to execute. Now it's trying to okay, it opens that application. The application might be slow, or sometimes they will take it offline also. Okay, it seems like it's trying to open. All right, so we got this page displayed. So open application, it seems like it is successful. And then now let's see what is going to say the result, the function results. So let's continue. And now, because this function is executed, right? And now let's see what this TS result says, the variable, right? So let's copy. Looks like it's hanging. And then go to this debug URL, and then paste it. So it says it's failed. That's weird. Why? Because you know what might be causing the problem here? Though your page is displayed, but it's saying it failed. I guess. Okay.
This might be the checkpoint. That's feeling it's looking for something like that. Whatever checkpoint we have in that script.
Yeah, the checkpoint itself is failed. That's why it's saying okay, because it goes to this particular statement saying that it's failed. Why? Because you see the application took long time to execute. So that's why there is no synchronization here, right, in your script or in your function. So that's where it says because it waited for some time and then it couldn't find that particular page. Application took long to display that page. That's why your script reported failed. So these are the kind of challenges like what you get in the real-time projects. So you have to reach. That's where actually the synchronization is a very important thing. So you can handle this either through different ways, like what we discussed. You can check for, you can keep that in the loop, right? Do until that particular page is displays, right? That way you can do that, the synchronization part, or you can also for the time being, let's put, this is a quick thing, but it's a rude way. So I'm going to keep some wait time here. So wait for 10 seconds. It's not doing the loop now. No? Let's wait. Okay, so now let's run it and then see what happens. So this time what I'm going to do is I'm going to just remove the breakpoint because we know that the logic works. So I'm going to just remove this breakpoint from here, and then I keep the breakpoint at this line. Because this where actually, that's what actually.
So many of our students have given testimonials on how our training programs are. You will find them on kudzu.com and on our website H2Kinfosys.com. On our website H2Kinfosys.com, you will also find more detailed information on who we are, the courses that we offer, what each course covers. Also, if you're interested in a demo program, please register on our homepage on the left-hand side. Just give us more information about yourself and we will send you a link for a demo class. The demo class is absolutely free. Experience our commitment by just attending an orientation workshop at no cost. Our team of faculty and advisors are here to guide you with the right information. If you still have more questions, please feel free to call us. Call us at 770-777-1269. This is a United States number. If you're calling from the UK, call us at 020-337-17615. You can also email us at training@h2kinfosys.com or h2kinfosys@gmail.com. Thank you for watching our videos. We wish you a great career in information technology.